Okay, so here's another example where we're going to think about how we get the exact area under a curve by first setting up a Riemann sum with n equal subintervals, and then using a right endpoint for the height, and then taking the limit as the number of pieces goes to infinity. So this is for Charles and for everybody, but this is like number 8 in the homework. So we have a parabola on 0 to 5. I'm just going to look at the x-axis only for now because we kind of know what this parabola looks like. So 0 to 5, we want to know the exact area under the curve, and I want n equal subintervals. So I don't know what n is. So we're splitting this up into n pieces. I do care about what is the width of each piece, and we're also told that we're going to use the right endpoint to obtain the height of each rectangle. So the width of each piece, remember that we get the width by doing the length of the interval divided by the number of pieces. So here the length of this interval is 5 minus 0, or just 5. Number of pieces is n, we don't know. We want to keep that general so that later we can take the limit as n gets really, really, really large, goes to infinity. Okay, so I'm going to just position the right endpoints, just label the right endpoints here. From 0, we go to 5 over n. The next mark will be 10 over n because each width is 5 over n units long, right? That's delta x. Then 15 over n, then 20 over n, and then 5 is just 5n over n. I'm writing it this way so that when I condense to a sigma notation, I can see what's changing and label that our index k. Okay, so let's start writing out the Riemann sum. So the Riemann sum, right, this is just an approximation of area. And right now we're just going to do delta x, which is 5 over n, times the function at the first right endpoint. So that's going to be times the function value at 5 over n. That's the height that we're going to take for each rectangle. Then width, again, 5 over n. The next height will be the function value at 10 over n, which is the right endpoint of the next interval. Then 5 over n times f of 15 over n, and we can keep going, but I already see a pattern. So I'm just going to write the very last term. There's our width, 5 over n times f of 5, which is 5n over n. So now the next step is to try to condense this into sigma notation. Notice that there's a 5 over n term, or common to every single term, so we can factor that out. So this will be a 5 over n that I'm going to pull out, and then summation of the function value. Now let's see. The thing that's changing is that numerator. That's 5, then 10, then 15. These are just multiples of 5. So we want to evaluate the function at 5k, where k will start at 1. When k is 1, that's going to give us the 5. When k is 2, that'll give us the 10. When k is 3, that'll give us the 15, and so on. We'll go up to k equals n to get the last 5n over n. So this represents the sum that we just wrote out, the Riemann sum. But we've got to do a lot of work before to simplify this. For example, we still need to figure out what is f of 5k over n. So we need to put that into our original function. So let's do that next. So we've got 5 over n, sum from k equals 1 to n. Now our function takes the input, squares it, so that's 5k over n gets squared. That's x squared plus 3. That's our function. And we're going to use properties of summation in a little bit also, but first let me rewrite this as k equals 1 to n. I'm going to write, since I'm squaring 5k over n, that's 25k squared over n squared plus 3. Now, using some of our properties of sigma notation, I'm going to split that sum and write this. Keep the 5 over n on the outside. And I'm going to write this as the sum from k equals 1 to n of 25k squared over n squared plus sum from k equals 1 to n of 3. Now that is just a constant value, so we will be able to rewrite that also. And here, in the first summation, we can take out anything that doesn't depend on k. So let's continue to factor and simplify. In the first term, I'm going to factor out the 25 over n squared because that's independent of the index k. And so I have the sum of k squared, k equals 1 to n. And for the second one, since that's a constant value, that means I'm adding 3 to itself n times. So that just gives me 3 times n. Now notice that this is a special sum. If you watch the 35-minute video of our class, well, that I made up, that sum we know. We have that. So we have that the sum of the first n squared terms is n times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 all over 6. So I can just replace that with this expression in red. All right, so let's get back to our expression. We've got 5 over n, 25 over n squared times that guy. So n times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 over 6, because that is the special sum, plus 3n. We've got to keep working here. So I guess I'm going to distribute the 5 over n to each term here. So that's going to give me 5 times 25, let's see, 5 times 2, 125. N times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1. And in the denominator, I have a 6n cubed plus 5 over n times 3n is just going to give me 15. Now, that is the Riemann's, an expression for the Riemann sum. All of this is the Riemann sum, but this is simplified to the point where we're now able to take the limit. So that's our Riemann sum. And I'm going to go to the next page to take the limit. So let's see if I remember this. All right, so we've got, a Riemann sum is 125, I don't know if I remember, over 6n cubed, and then I think we had an n plus 1, 2n plus 1, plus 15. Let me just check. Okay, this is our Riemann sum. That just gives us an approximation for the area under the curve for whatever n value and number of pieces I've broken this up into. If I want the exact area under the curve though, so the way that we get the exact area is we take the limit as n approaches infinity of our Riemann sum, and that will give us the exact area, because we're saying, well, if we're letting the number of pieces get thinner and thinner and thinner, or the number get larger and larger and larger, then we're going to get the exact area, which I mentioned at the end of the previous video that we define that to be the definite integral. So let's take the limit of this expression of the Riemann sum. We have 125n times n plus 1 times 2n plus 1 over 6n cubed plus 15. Now, this is thinking about n behavior. So we attend to the largest power of n in the denominator and in the numerator. In the numerator, we'll have the term that has the largest powers when these three terms are multiplied. So it'll be 125 times 2. Make sure I'm making mistakes here, which is 250. So that'll be, we still have limit as n approaches infinity. We've got 250 n cubed plus blah, 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 other stuff going on, and a 6n cubed in the denominator, plus 15. When we take the limit as n goes to infinity, for the first term, that's going to give us the ratio of the coefficients. For the second term, that doesn't depend on n, so that's just plus 15. And I guess we could simplify this. I don't know how. I don't know how. 250 over 6. Well, the 6 doesn't go into it. There's 3. No. 2. Yes. 2 goes into 250 125 times, as we saw before. Thirds plus 15, which is 45 thirds. And that gives me 170 over 3. And that's our actual area.